as I stepped off the cramped transport ship and onto the worn metal floor of the space station. The familiar smell of burning fuel and ozone hit me like a punch to the gut. It was a smell that brought back memories of my childhood, of laughter and tears, of freedom and confinement. I had thought I'd left this place behind. But here I was, back in the orbit of the dying star that had once been my home. I scanned the crowded docking bay, my eyes adjusting to the dim light. And that's when I saw her. Lyra. My old friend. My confidant. My partner in crime. We had grown up together on this station, exploring its hidden corners, sneaking into forbidden areas, and dreaming of escape. But life had taken us in different directions. Lyra had stayed, becoming a skilled engineer and mechanic, while I had left, seeking adventure and a sense of purpose in the wider galaxy. Now, as we locked eyes across the bay, I could see the same spark of mischief and determination that had driven us as teenagers. She pushed through the crowd, her short, spiky hair a vibrant purple in the dim light, and enveloped me in a fierce hug. "What brings you back?" she asked, her voice low and urgent. As we pulled back to examine each other, I could see the concern etched on her face, the lines of worry and fear that I knew all too well. "It's Cale," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "He's in trouble." Lyra's eyes narrowed, her jaw clenched. "What kind of trouble?" "Cale. My brother. My best friend. My everything. He had always been the one to look out for me, to protect me, but now he was the one in danger." Lyra's expression told me she knew more than she was letting on. "Come with me," she said, turning to lead me through the winding corridors of the station. We moved swiftly, avoiding the roving gangs of thugs and the corrupt station authorities. Lyra knew this place like the back of her hand, and I trusted her with my life. As we walked, she filled me in on the situation. Cale had been working for a local smuggler, moving contraband and avoiding the authorities. But something had gone wrong, and now he was in the sights of the station's ruthless crime lord, Victor Vex. We reached the entrance to Vex's territory, a heavily fortified and guarded complex in the heart of the station. Lyra handed me a pistol. Her eyes locked on mine. "You know what you're getting into," she said. I nodded, my heart racing with anticipation and fear. We slipped inside, avoiding the guards and making our way deeper into the complex. The air grew thick with tension, the shadows cast by the flickering lights seeming to writhe and twist around us. As we approached Vex's throne room, the sound of raised voices and scuffling grew louder. I recognized Cale's voice, his words laced with defiance and desperation. My heart swelled with pride and fear. I pushed open the door, pistol at the ready, and stepped inside. Vex sat on his throne, a cold, calculating smile spreading across his face. Cale stood before him, his eyes blazing with fury. "Ah, the little rebel returns," Vex sneered, his gaze flicking to me. "How nice of you to join us." The room seemed to shrink, the air compressing into a tiny, suffocating space. I raised my pistol, my finger tightening on the trigger. This was it, the moment of truth. But as I looked at Cale, at Lyra, at Vex, I felt a spark of doubt ignite within me. Was this really what I wanted? Was this really who I was? I thought of all the times I'd run, all the times I'd hidden. I thought of all the times I'd let fear dictate my actions. And in that moment, I knew I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull the trigger. I couldn't save Cale, not like this. I lowered my pistol, my eyes locked on Cale's. He looked at me, confusion and disappointment etched on his face. I turned to Lyra, and she nodded, understanding. Together, we backed out of the room, leaving Vex and his goons to their games. As we emerged into the bright, harsh light of the docking bay, I felt a sense of freedom, of release. I knew I'd never be able to go back. Not now. I'd have to forge a new path, one that didn't involve violence and fear. I looked at Lyra, and she smiled, a fierce, Proud smile. You're not the same person you used to be, she said. I nodded, feeling a sense of identity, of self, that I'd never known before. I was ready to walk away, to leave the past behind and forge a new future.